Hi YouTube, welcome to Smoke Jensen's Junction. Today we're going to do the closest thing to an unboxing I can do, considering the fact that I don't have anyone to hold the camera for me. I have 4 packages today. One of them is going to be a soldering iron. One of them is going to be a bridge for the train. One of them is going to be a tack hammer. And one of them is actually 2 packages. And one is 2 new complete, it was supposed to be complete train layouts. I've tried this once before and didn't get everything. But this is a much larger box. And there's supposed to be 2 of them. So maybe it's got all the parts this time. Also, as you may have saw, I've got the figure 8 track that I mentioned in the previous video. It finally arrived and I got it put together. However, when I ordered it, after ordering it, I should say, I realized I'm not going to use the center. Oops, I'm trying to do this backwards here. I'm not going to use that center X. Instead, I'm going to do a bridge over. And I'm going to turn this camera around because it's too hard to use this camera. There we go. Now I can see what I'm doing. I'm not going to... After I ordered it, I decided I'm not going to use that center X. Instead, I'm going to do a bridge over the center. And I don't like these preformed tracks. They're just like that. Those over there, they're stiff and solid, rigid. I rather use my flex track that I've got up there. Of course, the little bit I got there is nowhere near enough to do the entire layout. I will have to order more, but I like the flex track a lot better than this prefab rigid stuff. However, among the new train stuff is supposed to be some of this, what do they call it, Easy Track or something like that. I've never dealt with it before. I don't know, I might try it and like it. But that's one of the things we're going to try to find out. So let me pause this and get these packages open and have a look at what we've got. Okay, first item, we have the soldering iron or soldering gun. This particular style has the trigger. When you squeeze the trigger, you can see it pulls the solder through. I still have to make some adjustments to the tension. Let me see if I can do that real quick. There's a little screw right here. I have a little too tight. When I pull the trigger, you should... I'll have to play with it off camera a little bit, but it's a soldering iron with a tub of flux. Now they also make another style of soldering iron, which I happen to have, still new in the package. I didn't know I even had it when I ordered that one. This is the other style that I'm aware of. I probably have others. For those of you who don't know, solder is like a form of low temperature welding to fasten 2 metals together that don't require a lot of stress. But the next thing we have this N Scale double track train bridge. And then I ordered this tack hammer used, and I can tell it's had some use on it, but it's still in good condition. I would have liked the tip to be a a smaller head, but it's okay. It'll work for what well, maybe not. I was thinking it would work for getting it in between the rails, but that's okay because after I ordered it, I got to thinking, I'm going to cover this board in styrofoam, and so there's not going to be a whole lot of tacks being used. So, yeah, it's nice to have a tack hammer, so it's not money wasted. It just won't be used much on this train like I thought it would. And now for the big package, I finally have what appears to be a complete train layout. I mean, not layout, but train set. You can see the engine, a couple of the cars, some track, and it has a picture of a power transformer. And I have 2 of them. So I'm going to pause this again. I'm going to clear away the figure 8 and start putting these new trains together and see what I can come up with. I'm actually going to try to do a circle around the figure 8 if it'll let me, if there's enough track. So let me pause this and see what I can come up with. One little issue I found already. I've wrapped it in tape. This is supposed to be the horn for the train engine, and it's supposed to be in that little hole right there. But I've tried putting it in, and it's too loose of a fit. It keeps falling out. So I've wrapped it in this tape to make it easy to keep up with. I'll find a medicine container or something to put in here in a little bit. But when I get to the store, I'll pick up some super glue and I'll glue it in place. I just don't have any super glue here at the house. I thought I did, but the tube was dried out. But so far, that's one little issue I see with it. I've still got more to do to get that was just the first thing I saw when I opened the box. Most people wouldn't have even seen that, or if they did, they'd have thought it was a piece of trash laying there. But I saw it, and I found it. I know what it is. I've got to put it where it belongs when I get some super glue. Well, as far as this easy track goes, I don't like that you have 4 points that you have to line up instead of just 2. But it does seem to stay together better once you get it locked together. Some of these, I'm finding the, the rail ties, not the ties, but the metal couplers. Some of them are bent out of shape, and I'm having to reshape them a little bit to make them line up proper. But once they, see if I can get this to focus and do this with only one hand. When they line up, they snap together fairly easily. It's hard to do it looking through the camera. I'm going to have to readjust this when it's still bent out of shape a little bit. But that's the general idea. I've taken the track from both sets. I put all the straight track to one set, and then I've taken all the straight track from one set and put it with the other so I could create a larger oval. But that also means the other track is a smaller circle. But that's fine, this is going to be learning stage for me how DCC works, or at least this is supposed to be DCC. It claims to have the digital sound. I don't know if it does zoom in. See, it says digital sound, so I'm guessing that it's also DCC, especially when I look at the power controller. I've already plugged it together, got lights lit, and it's got numbers 1 through 10. So I'm with the impression that means that this power controller is capable of controlling up to 10 engines at once. I will have to read the instructions better to see how that all that works, what does what. But in the meantime, I'm going to finish putting that coupler together and get some trains on the track so we can see some trains moving. Also, I would like to point out, just like in one of the last videos, the couplers are different. The one on the right is my old coupler, my old caboose, and the one on the left is one of the new cabooses, and with the new coupler. The one on the left is more accurate, true to life, and from what I've read, these new ones have a magnetic release with certain kinds of track. You can remotely decouple the cars from each other, which I think that's a cool little feature that I'll have to investigate. As far as the rest, as far as I've got one train on the track. I'm actually going to set it up where both transformers are being used at first, just so we can get this thing moving. I will have to read how to get two trains going at once, and since I don't have switches or anything to connect the rails where I can run two rails off one power source, when I do find out how to run multiple engines on the same power pack, I will run them both in the same direction until I can get more track, more parts. But like I said, this is a learning experience with DCC for me. So let me pause this and get further down the road on it. Well, I figured out how to turn the sound on the engines, but I still haven't got any motion. But right now I've got the red button flashing for stop, but when I push it again, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but you should be able to hear the engine starting to rev up the sounds for it. Well, I've tried turning the dials. I've tried the direction buttons. I don't know what the function or what these other buttons do yet, but that's where I'm at so far. So I've got to do some more reading on this to find out how to get them to move. And I actually eventually, that's why I bought twin sets, because there's a car that I want to pull that's heavy. It's solid brass. It's for cleaning the rails, and I eventually want to have both these running as one, working together as one. To pull that heavy brass car for to clean the rails. That's the main reason I bought two of them at the same time. That way I know they're identical. Okay, after reading the instructions a little further, I found out that these engines are set to work off of number 3 by default, and you have to program them to work off one of the other numbers. Well, when I turned it to number 3 and started to turn the speed up, the sound quit. And reading the instructions, it sounds like there's a short circuit in there somewhere, that there's a reset. So I've got it unplugged for a few minutes and to allow the breaker to reset. And while I'm waiting, I started playing with the soldering iron some more, and I finally got it working. So when I pull the trigger, you can see the wheel turns. It's actually pulling the solder through. And a few more There it is. The solder's starting to come out. And what it was the first time I put this together, I did not know about this little trap door. And when I fed the solder in, it had got snarled up. It didn't go through right here. And it had created a little rat nest of solder wire right there. So I had to pull it out and manually feed it in through the little hole there. But now that part's working. I have not plugged it in yet, primarily because I'm not ready to solder anything. But I know when I start laying this track and getting my flex track to mount it to the board the way I want it, I'm gonna need it. And it's nice to know that I have this other one also. That means I can alternate depending on what's convenient for me at the moment, what one works for what situation. I got a feeling I'm gonna like that pistol grip one, though. I've never had one like it before. I've always had these wand styles. I just didn't know I owned this one when I ordered that one. So, anyway, we'll pause this and we'll come back in a few minutes after I find out what's going on with the train, see if we can't get some motion going. Okay, after reading the instructions, I've reprogrammed the train on the smaller track, on the inside track, to spot number 1. And now we get motion. As I turn the volume up, you can hear the engine get a little louder also. I still have to program the other one, but that is at full speed now. I've turned it all the way up. I'm glad to see one of them working. I was afraid I was going to have to call the service hotline for help to find out what was going on. I turn it down, it comes to a stop. I'm starting to think there's something wrong with that engine. I've swapped the engines and got the one that was on the inside track working on the outside. And I've discovered what this function button does. When you push it, the number 1 slot starts flashing, which is what I've got that engine assigned to. And when I push the number 1, while it's flashing, you can hear some of the other sound effects. And when I push function again, it stops. Let's see, push function. And it starts that. And then you can lock it into position. And then to unlock it, you push function again, the number 1. It stops the sound, and you push function again. So that's a neat little thing. You can have 2 identical engines with different sounds. But I still got to play with this other one. I can get it to go short distances. I say it now, it ain't going to go at all. I think I found the problem. The wire was loose, and when I picked the controller up, it disconnected all the way. So let me plug it back in and see what we can get. There we go, friends. I finally got all the problems narrowed down and sorted out so that I have 2 working trains on 2 separate tracks on 2 separate power packs. But that's why I did it like this, so I could narrow the problems down and figure out and learn how to work everything individually. And now I've got them both programmed as number 1, and according to the instructions, that's what I need to make them work together to pull that heavy train car I mentioned earlier. Uh-oh, it became disconnected and derailed. There we go, I got it fixed. The outside train's gonna have to go around the track 2 or 3 times to make sure, so it goes over that re-railer to get everything railed in, then I can dial up the speed on it again. But thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed. I know this has been a long video, and it's going to be murder on me splicing all these pieces together and editing. But it's been fun. The only thing I can think of left to do is to put both trains on one track and run them together as one long train, which, according to the instructions I read on the programming, I've already programmed them to do so. In the next few months, I'll have to order some pieces of track, some straight track and switches. I want to make a piece of track that will be designated for programming DCC engines for programming and short test runs. I've got a particular almost like a switch yard, portable switch yard in mind that uses about 2 or 3 switches that I want to set up on like a 1x8 or something like that. But like I said, that's the only other thing I can think of left to do, or 2 things I can think of left to do, is put one behind the other, one train behind the other on the same track and see if they run at the same speed together, which they should, and then put them so that they run as one continuous long train. So we'll try that, give that a try and see what happens. Alright, we got them both on the same track, both facing the same direction. Let's see what we get here. Powering up. Looking good. Idle, throttle more. Coolness. And this is one of the reasons that one of the big reasons that drew me to DCC, is the ability to run 2 trains at once. However, one does seem to run a little faster than the other. You can see it catching up. Which, when I tried doing something like this on HO, I had the similar problem. But with the engines, when I run the engines together, I plan to run them back to back anyhow, so that won't be much of a problem. Or if I do run 2 engines in the same train, it will be like this, or like I said, one engine right against the other. More commonly, one engine against the other, which is the next thing I want to try. I'll let them come back around one more time so that they'll be close to me. Okay, we've got controller on number 1. The direction is forward. We've got all the cars lined up in a row, both engines back to back. We'll turn the idle speed up, and we're off to the races. They seem to be running good, and this is what it's more the configuration when I run two engines together on the same track, same direction. This is more how I'll be running them. The tank car that I mentioned that I want to get is close to maybe a little over $100. It's been a couple days since I looked at it on eBay. But even if that one's not there, I've seen more of them out. They tend to come and go. So I'll eventually get one. It's just going to take time and money. But in the meantime, I've finally got a working train to go around the track. And I hope you enjoyed. I know this has been a long video. It's going to take even longer for me to edit all the pieces together. But if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can, and hit the notification bells so you can be notified when I upload new videos. And you can support the channel for as little as $1, which the money will go towards materials such as that tank car or other train supplies, or supplies to build this with the winch the way I want it. There's many things that I can use the money on towards these projects. If you can help support the channel, it would be greatly appreciated. Like I said before, I hope you've enjoyed. You can support the channel on Patreon, and I will have a link for that in the description. Thank you for your time.